Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're tracking here for today as we're going to be looking at your busiest travel day of the year. That's for tomorrow, the day before Thanksgiving. We'll see how conditions are looking across the country. We are looking at a potential Thanksgiving Day, some snows, especially as we head out of the Midwest and into the Northeast. We'll talk about that as well. And then we'll talk about an unusually dry weather pattern that's coming in with that cold Arctic air. It looks like we're not going to see any big storm systems for a prolonged period as we go into, let's say, the first week or so of December. We're going to get all that as well. Now, before we get going, first, I do want to personally thank the new subscribers here to the channel. And if you haven't done so just yet, what you waiting for? Come on, join the family here. It's a free service. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see here, please leave a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm as we continue to try to grow this channel for you guys. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here at our current satellite picture here for this morning as we got a weak system here across the east with some rains up there across New York, stretching on down here toward parts of the south. Gets another system out here into the Intermountain region that's going to be exiting on out. And this storm system, this system here that may bring in the snows heading into the Northeast as we go in from Thursday into Friday of this week. And we're still got some pretty decent moisture flowing in here off the Pacific coast here. So still looking at some pretty decent rains across portions of California, especially for central areas for today. Now, as we take a look at our current watches and warnings, obviously we got numerous winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings out here across Utah, Colorado, even in here into California as well, seeing the winter weather out here. Some freeze warnings here across Oklahoma and Texas this morning, and some winter weather advisories up into the Northeast for today. Let's look at our current airport delays out there. Of course, a lot of folks going out and currently not looking too bad across the country. We're seeing all the airports lighting up green here for today. I think for the most part, they'll stay that way, except for maybe out here towards San Francisco. Could see a few weather-related delays there, but today, not looking at major problems across the travel hubs for today. Here's our current map system as we're looking at some rains here across the Northeast, some snows back up into Canada and getting around the Great Lakes there as this initial cold air starts to move in. We got a much more progressive one. Look at these temperatures up here, seeing some below zero temperatures coming in here across areas of North Dakota already. And we are getting some snows here across the Intermountain region. Of course, unsettled weather now moving into central and southern California here for today. Let's talk about the rains up here in the Northeast, up near the Albany area. Some pretty good rains here, up through Schenectady and up toward Glen Falls. Just a plain old decent, moderate to occasional heavy rain here moving across this region. And this should be clearing out here later today, and we should see things begin to improve. Let's look at the Storm Prediction Center. Let's talk about the outlook here for that as far as any potential weather-related delays there. As we go ahead and look at our day one outlook today, not looking bad. No issues out there today, but I can't say that'll stay that way for day two, obviously going in toward Wednesday and into Thursday. So look at your day two outlook here across the southeast as we do have a pocket of marginal severe weather here across portions of Alabama and into Mississippi. And with that, believe it or not, we do even have a slight risk of perhaps some tornadoes as well. It's a low risk, but running about 2% in that area as well for tomorrow, as well as a high wind threat. So it's running low, but we'll watch that closely for tomorrow. Obviously, areas, anybody traveling from Birmingham over to Jackson, across that little pocket there across the southeast, may need to be careful. Now, it's going toward day three. That's going to expand a little bit more. As we look at your category, we got a marginal risk here covering a bigger area here from the Carolinas, stretching back into Louisiana, into North Florida, as we could see some isolated pockets of severe weather here. Nothing that looks like it's going to be too widespread. I think it'll be very isolated here as the storm system that's going to be bringing that much cold air across the southeast may set off some thunderstorms in that area. Now, as far as the excessive rainfall amounts, only got 1 day on this. The next 2 days not showing anything flooding to be a problem, but at the West Coast still having to deal with this across the central areas. A little bit further south here, kind of between San Francisco and Los Angeles, seeing that marginal pocket and just a slight risk there in the higher elevations of some heavy rains up into that area as that moisture flow, as I just showed you, will continue into that area. Now, as far as looking beyond the 3 days, we look 3 to 7 as far as hazards outlook is concerned. Well, we got a couple things I want to point out. Obviously, we got the very cold Arctic air coming in here across the high plains. We're kind of seeing that already, but it's going to get even worse as we go through time there. And then you notice these little pockets around the Great Lakes. These are for basically your lake effect snows. It looks like the lake effect snow machines really going to kick it into gear as a snowy pattern, at least for the Great Lakes, is concerned as we go over the next, say, 7 to 10 days, because it looks like we're going to have several intrusions of cold air, and you get that cold air over the Great Lakes, they're going to dump some pretty decent snows, especially in those hot zones that we typically see every year. So let's talk about our short-term forecast. We're looking at the high-resolution model here. We're looking at for about the next 42 hours or so. Again, we're going to be tracking this one storm system. Obviously, we're getting the rains here in the east here with this system here. And, of course, we've got some unsettled weather out here in the west coast as well as this thing begins to pull out off into the central portion of the country. So let's go ahead and take this forward here. Watch that timestamp in the upper right-hand corner as we watch the rains kind of move on out of the northeast as we go throughout the day on Tuesday. We'll see some higher elevation snows across Utah and in areas of Colorado as we watch that system come on out. But as we stop here for, we'll stop here for the morning hours here for Wednesday morning. So it looks like most of the airports, the Northeast airports looking good, Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson looking good, Dallas, LAX, all those major airport hubs are looking pretty good for tomorrow. There's some snows that could get into Denver International Airport a little bit later in the day on Wednesday. That could potentially see some delays there a little bit as that system pulls on out. So that's the only airport that I see potentially having some problems there. Then as we go ahead and take this into Wednesday and we get some light precipitation that starts to develop here going into Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. Now, I want to notice something here. This here is the freezing line right here, that blue line. That's the 540 line. Any of that green that's north of that area could potentially be snow. And it looks like if the snow starts to develop, it'll probably be after midnight, and this will probably track into the northeast as we go into Thanksgiving Day and into Friday as well. We're going to show you the specifics on that here in just a second. So let's talk about the overall jet stream pattern, okay? The jet stream, of course, drives the weather across the country. We're looking for big dives in the jet stream because that's what brings in your cold air and usually sets off your stronger storm systems. So right now we're fairly flat, fairly zonal. What we're going to be watching is this jet stream up here. This kind of the polar jet here is going to kick in here and kind of merge. They're going to phase together with the typical westerly jet stream here. So as I go ahead through motion here, and I'll go ahead and take you through this here, you're going to notice this thing really start to dive. It starts to merge on down and come on down, especially going into Thursday. So you got a nice big dip in the jet stream here coming down. We've got a low pressure system here spinning across southern Canada, and we're going to dive in some very cold temperatures here across the eastern half of the United States as we go into Thursday. And that pattern is going to kind of hold as we go through the month of December. So you notice as we go in through the weekend, again, this is going into Saturday night into Sunday, very pronounced jet stream here, very cold across the eastern half. Now it means the folks here in the west, they're going to see temperatures modify. You're seeing the ridging there, so things are going to warm up a little bit in that zone. So that's looking good there. So now as I progress this, it looks like the pattern's going to set up where basically the eastern half of the United States, you split it right down the middle. The eastern half, that's where the cold air is going to be. The west is going to finally get a break. They've had a very cold, unseasonably chilly autumn to begin with. And this continues straight into Wednesday the 4th here. Again, that jet stream still staying into the east. Toward the end of this run, it starts to let up just a little bit. It looks like another shot here coming down here as we head toward the 6th and 7th coming in, but starts to retreat a little bit further north. I think the air begins to modify here just a little bit, and then we'll see this kind of continue, start to flatten out here as we go. Looks like the main jet starts to retreat here a little bit. It starts to flow up here toward the north. So this is the subtropical jet here. So it looks like we'll see temperatures begin to modify as we head towards, say, the 9th, 10th, and 11th. But it looks like the first week especially is going to be pretty cold here as we look at the beginning of the month of December. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the precipitation again. Let's take this out. We talked about the first 2 days. Let's take this out until Thursday night. So here's the rain coming into the southeast again. Could see a few rumbles of thunder in here as we go late in the day on your Thursday. Just a pocket of severe possible there. So as I go and clear this out here, we'll be watching close to see if that cold air, that moisture is going to hook up for any kind of snows there across portions of Indiana, Ohio. It looks like it's going to be pretty limited. And then as this moves into the northeast, I think the interior sections of Pennsylvania into New York later in the day on Thanksgiving Day, that'll see some rains and stuff. Anybody traveling here coming into the northeast airports on Thursday might run into some problems there. So that could be a problem there as well. And then as well going into the southeast, Atlanta, I don't think it'll be too bad there as the rains will be coming in during the morning hours. Thunderstorms maybe later in the afternoon across portions of the south. But as this starts to clear, the big thing you notice is this is the freezing line, 540 line coming way far south. So we're getting some very cold air coming in, big pocket of cold air across southern Canada there, showing the heights dropping down to about 510 there. So looking pretty cold indeed. And this looks like this will stay in place. It stays right in place into the 2nd and into the 3rd and 4th to get these reinforcing shots, these Alberta Clippers type systems. The Gulf of Mexico is kind of closed off. We're not really tapping any real moisture as these systems are coming in out of Canada, moisture starved. So there are not any big dumps of precipitation expected. In fact, it looks like overall a pretty dry weather pattern, except for the areas across the Great Lakes. As these cold airs continue to intrude across this area and blowing across those lakes, we'll see a significant amount of snowy weather for the Great Lakes area to continue for probably a good over a week or so, the way it's looking right now. And then the tail end of this model may bring in some rain here across the Gulf Coast as we're looking toward, say, Sunday days. Again, this is 300 hours out, so this is obviously going to change. But again, the pattern, as it looks right now, stays on the cold side, and it looks like we don't really get any major chances of precipitation because of the fact we're going to have all these high-pressure systems kind of coming down into the United States. Let's talk about precipitation again. I'm going to take you out about 10 days on the precipitation outlook here. And the most of the country, as I stop this at 240 here, you're going to notice is looking at basically a half inch or less. That's at green, all right? Just a couple areas here. You notice the pockets here on the leeward side of the lakes here. Michigan, looking there across Ohio, Pennsylvania, into New York. Those areas could be looking at potential feet of snow with that cold Arctic intrusion coming across those lakes. But other than this little pocket here the next couple of days across Southern California, a lot of the country is going to see a pretty dry weather pattern. And as a result, not a whole lot of snow except for those hot zones there across the Great Lakes. So I take this one out here for the next 10 days as well. And I'll take this on out to 240. We'll just taking out 10 days. The hot zones, definitely, we're looking at, you're looking at feet. These little pockets showing up here across the Northeast and into the areas there across the Great Lakes are looking at a significant amount of snow. Let's look at the eastern region here. We'll close in on some of these. Again, I'm seeing 20 inches of snow showing up, and these are probably underrepresented here. Again, these little pockets here right along the Great Lakes are going to see quite a significant amount of snow, over a foot of snow. So you're going to see a lot of very picturesque, very Christmas-type imagery coming out of the Great Lakes, thanks to this cold air intrusion that's going to be coming in here, starting basically Thanksgiving Day and going on after that. Now, I want to explain why we're expecting things to stay dry. This is your pressure anomaly map. When you see the yellows and the oranges, that's high pressure. Blues are your storm systems, okay? That's your lower pressure systems. And the trend here over the next few weeks, we've got the storm system that's ejecting out here on Thursday. This is a system on Thursday, exits on out. Look at all the high pressure that's just coming into the United States, coming into this weekend. All right, no major storm systems. You got one up here, kind of exiting here across eastern Canada, but really from coast to coast, it's looking pretty dry. We got high pressure in control, and it stays there. I mean, the trend stays right till Tuesday, Wednesday. Got one little weak system. That's a little Alberta system, a Clipper system coming into Wednesday across the Great Lakes. That'll kind of reinforce the snow chances there with that system going into next week. But overall trend is for it to stay, again, a couple of just weak systems, but high pressure and control a lot of the country, which means limited precipitation chances. That's why you're not seeing as much snow across other areas besides the Great Lakes here over the next, say, 10 days or so. Now, as far as temperatures are controlled, this is looking at the day after Thanksgiving. You're definitely looking at a lot of cold temperatures here in the West. You got below zero temperatures. We're already seeing that now. We're seeing that across areas of the Dakotas and up toward Montana as we're looking there. Let's check out the eastern portion of the United States. Again, not looking too bad. Chilly here in the south, but cooler than it has been here recently. But seeing things cooling down here, seeing 20s and 30s here across New England, and single digits coming in here into the middle of the country as well. As we go into the 29th. So let's go take this forward here across the east, and we'll take it here. We'll stop this in toward the, say, we'll take it to Monday the 2nd. That's kind of the coldest day here. Look at these temperatures here in the southeast. It's sitting here in the 20s. Atlanta getting around 20 degrees. Most of New England here sitting in the 20s and teens. You're seeing the teens here across the Midwest as well. Let's look at the central portion of the country. Again, it looks like Monday will be one of the coldest days. See a nice little tongue of some pretty chilly air coming down here across the central portion of the country here. A lot of single digits, even, again, some below zero temperatures there. And then you factor in the wind factor, obviously the feel-like factor. They're going to be real below zero here with some of the wind chills here across the high plains as we go in toward the 2nd. And we'll go out to one more day. We'll go out to the 2nd, to Tuesday. Starts to modify just a little bit here. So we definitely got some cold air coming in. It's backed off. Well, one thing that's pretty routine when it comes to these models, they'll fluctuate as far as the intensity of the cold air until it kind of gets settled. I've been kind of leaning more toward the warmer solution because the fact we don't have a really established snowpack just yet, but that'll probably change as we head deeper, obviously, into the winter months. So let's look at the latest from the Climate Prediction Center here as we're looking at, again, the 1st to the 5th going into the 1st of December. We're seeing the milder temperatures in the west. As I showed you, the jet stream will be retreating to the north. We'll have a good cold trough here in the east, so well below normal temperatures here across the mid-Atlantic into the southeast as we go into the first week of December. The trend kind of continues through the 9th. Notice we're kind of splitting the country in half. Milder here in the west, colder here in the east, which has definitely not been the pattern we've seen here for most of the fall as we're getting ready to head toward winter, which is just a few weeks away from officially beginning. So looks like we'll see that. Now, the big story here, as I was showing you, look, coast to coast, we're not tapping any major storm systems. You got high pressure building in here from Canada, and other than maybe South Texas up here toward the northern plains, it looks pretty dry, and that continues straight in from December 3rd to the 9th. So it looks like this will begin to change. Now, the tail end of the model run on the European, it looks like the pattern starts to begin changing a little bit as we head toward the middle of the month potentially. But right now, it looks like we're going to start December a bit on the dry side, which is a little unusual, and a lot of the country is seeing drought conditions. So it's really not a good thing to see. We could definitely use some of the precipitation to help kind of beat back some of the drought conditions that have been increasing across a lot of the country here over a lot of the fall. So we'll see how things go as we go into this busy travel day. Obviously tomorrow looking pretty decent. Denver's probably my hot spot there, and then heading into Thursday, the airports into the northeast on Thursday and Friday, and maybe even down to Atlanta could see some potential weather related delays there. Now, if you appreciate this report and you'd like to make this a mainstay in your YouTube stream, all you got to do is please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, I do appreciate any feedback you have. Is there something you'd like to see? Because I consider this your product, not mine, belongs to you guys. And if you got a comment, leave it down below and give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it as we continue our battle against the YouTube algorithm. All right, that's it, guys. That's your update for now. You guys take it easy. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.